So welcome to my class, and in this I'm going to tell you about market equilibrium under perfect competition with the help of a diagram. So in the last class we did, you can go back to the class and see that we did the schedule. Based on that schedule we are going to plot the diagram. So just look at this. This was the schedule that we did. Okay, so this is the schedule that we did in the last class. So at various prices, the demand, it has an inverse relation with demand. It has a positive, price has a positive relation with supply. Now based on that, just have a look. I have plotted this diagram. I've plotted the x and y on the x and okay. We plotted the demand in D and S curves, demand and supply curves. Now let me just explain it to you. Now just look at this. So in this we find that this schedule, the schedule has been depicted in this figure. So quantity demanded and quantity supplied are measured along the x-axis. So can you see that? And on the y-axis we have plotted the price. Now DD is the market demand curve, whereas SS represents the market supply curve. So can you see that? Okay. Now E is the point of their intersection that gives us the equilibrium price and quantity. Now E is the market equilibrium. Now this is at rupees 4, where so OP we can call it if you want to, or we'll just call it rupees 4 is the equilibrium price, and the quantity demanded and supplied is 50 units, and that is the equilibrium quantity. Is that clear? Okay. Now at equilibrium price 4, rupees 4, market demand is 50 units, which is equal to market supply, which is equal to 50 units. So at equilibrium price 4, the equilibrium quantity is 50 units. Now let us see what happens if in the diagram. Let's just talk about what happens when there is excess supply. So in the excess supply happens when the price increases to rupees 5. So here when it's 5, the supply expands to 60 and the demand is 40. So then what happens? There'll be a few changes. There'll be a series of expansion and contraction which will lead the prices back to equilibrium. Okay, so all other things remaining constant, price falls and quantity demanded rises and quantity supply falls. So this process will continue till rupees 4 is reached. Okay, now let's take the other one. Below the equilibrium price you have what is known as excess demand. Now, talking about excess demand, let's take a price which is rupees 3, which is above rupees 4, the equilibrium price. So at price 3, the demand is 60 and the supply is 40. So then what happens? So then this is known as excess demand. That means at a lower price, demand expands, at a lower price, supply contracts. So then this doesn't suit both of them. So prices start rising. Other things remaining unchanged, quantity demand falls and quantity supply increases, and this process continues till they become equal at 50 each at rupees 4. So this is how it goes on for you to see. So with this we know that, see, like for example, I've talked about excess demand and excess supply. Now, okay, and while we are doing this, let me also tell you something about the assumptions of market equilibrium. So, what are they? There are three assumptions. Number one, demand curve slopes downwards from left to right. That is, price and quantity demanded are inversely related. Then, second is supply curve always slopes upwards. That is, price and quantity supplied are positively related. And third, there is no government intervention in the market. The forces of demand and supply freely operate and they also intersect. If they don't, then we will not have market equilibrium. That is also there. Okay, because if they don't, then there's something known as a non-viable industry, which I'm just going to just let you know that this is the non-viable industry. Now, in this happens when the DD is the demand curve, SS is the supply curve, and the supply curve lies above the demand curve. And so there's an absence of coordination between consumers. So in this case, this is called to be a non-viable, such a situation is known as a non-viable industry. So that means this implies there will be no production of the commodity in the industry. The industry economically is non-viable. The price at which any positive quantity can be supplied or offered for sale is higher than what the consumers are prepared to pay. In other words, for a non-viable industry, supply curve lies above the demand curve. So you can think about examples. Now I'll just give you one broad example, just like for example, say the commercial aircraft is an example of non-viable industry. Okay, so